Our first stop of our adventure was Las Vegas. After meeting all of our traveling companions and longtime friends, we headed off on a stroll down the Strip. The 2.5-mile-long central section of Las Vegas Boulevard, known as the Strip, is lined with mega shopping malls, huge entertainment palaces, many built with a defining theme, and home to performance venues, luxury hotel rooms, and fine dining. We ventured into one of the mega malls and were amazed at the elaborate decor. It had been years since many of us had been to Vegas, so we wanted to explore all of the new venues. We strolled past Caesar's Palace and the Excalibur. New to us was the Paris Hotel. It includes a half-scale, 540-foot tall replica of the Eiffel Tower, a 2/3 size Arc of Triumph, and in front of the hotel it suggests the Paris Opera House, the Louvre, and a huge fountain. Inside, replicated Paris street scenes by night, and of course, row upon row of slot machines. As the very first city-themed resort in Las Vegas, New York, New York offers a diverse mix of attractions paying tribute to the Big Apple. It's famous for its roller coaster, which is hard to miss, set in a perfect postcard shot. Its surroundings include a replica of the New York Harbor, a 150-foot model of the Statue of Liberty, as well as several of Manhattan's popular buildings. The Strip is particularly impressive at night. At the Bellagio, more than 1,000 fountains dance in front of the hotel, enhanced by music and light. The display spans more than 1,000 feet, with water soaring as high as 460 feet in the air. Across the street, the Eiffel Tower shows herself off. We toured the inside of the Bellagio, enjoying a fantastic display of miniature villages from around the world. The Venetian Hotel is located on the Strip across from the Treasure Island. It is one of the city's finest resorts and has many interesting tourist attractions. Inside is a themed shopping arcade built to resemble the city of Venice, complete with blue skies, canals, and gondoliers. Outside, you can take a gondola ride through the canals within the hotel. The hotel also features recreations of the main attractions found in Venice, such as the Rialto Bridge and the Bridge of Sighs, along with many others. This mime awaits to startle passers going by. The North Rim of the Grand Canyon offers an entirely different perspective than the more frequently visited South Rim. The only developed lodging within the National Park's North Rim boundaries is the Grand Canyon Lodge. This historic treasure has cabins and lodging tucked into the trees and dotting the canyon's edge. The historic dining room with wall-to-ceiling windows gives diners the unique opportunity to take in the canyon's views. Our accommodations for the night were in the cabins along the rim's edge. Normally, over 40 million tourists visit the South Rim, whereas the North Rim ranges around 400,000 a year. Our first venture was to the Bright Angel Point, by far the most popular viewpoint at the North Rim. Many visitors go nowhere else. A 4/10 of a mile path leads to the viewing area, starting directly behind the Grand Canyon Lodge. Although paved, the trail is quite steep in places, causing some of those unaccustomed to hiking, especially at 8,100 feet, to get out of breath. Park rangers patrol the short path on busy summer days, answering questions. The next morning, we ventured off to see more of the fantastic sights that the park has to offer. The canyon is 277 miles long, 600 feet to 18 miles wide, and in some places more than a mile deep. It has been called a mountain range in a ditch. It is hard to believe that the Colorado River, which runs through it, is responsible for creating the spectacular chasm carved by erosion over millions and millions of years. Its remote location, coupled with the heavy annual snowfalls, which close the area to visitors from October through May, makes the North Rim much less accessible than the South Rim. In places, the lights of the South Rim are visible less than 11 miles away from the North Rim as the crow flies, but more than 200 miles away by automobile. There is something about the North Rim that invokes a sense of solitude and serenity. This is a place that invites a visitor to slow down, to ponder, to feel your own innate relativity, and to fall in love with the landscape. Approximately 1,500 feet higher in average elevation than the South Rim, the North Rim is the Grand Canyon's coolest and wettest area. Average snowfall is 128 inches, and rainfall reach an average of 22 inches. We stopped at the Walhalla Overlook, which provided a stunning view of the vast farmlands of the ancient Pueblonans. There were remains of the ancient ancestral Pueblo Kiva and the Walhalla Glades Pueblo that was inhabited around the year 1050 AD. While in the parking lot, Clyde was almost able to get this deer to eat out of his hand. Unfortunately, he had nothing to feed him. Point Imperial is the highest point on the North Rim at 8,800 feet. It overlooks the Painted Desert and the eastern end of the Grand Canyon. The viewpoint provides a panorama up, down, and across the canyon, with seemingly unlimited vistas to the east and to the west. It is a popular place for both sunrise and sunset. After dinner, we were able to watch the sunset from the canyon's rim outside our cabins. We came upon a small roadside stop called Cliff Dwellers. We had no idea what we would find here out in the middle of nowhere. The first thing we saw was this towering red rock formation. It looked like a petrified ice cream cone. We were fascinated by all the large boulders that were in the area. There were a couple of rock structures tucked under an overhanging boulder, which provided the roof. Inside, it looked like it was someone's sleeping quarters. There was a house that was built around a large boulder. There were some beams that had once formed a ceiling over part of the structure. Outside, a chimney and a collapsing roof. A Navajo woman had set up a table to sell her wares. It was a great spot to take a breather in the middle of a truly gorgeous drive. Long ago, a restaurant, bar, and small lodge had been opened in the area, and it is still in operation today. We made a short stop at the Navajo Bridge Interpretive Center, where we learned the history of the area. From a bridge over the Colorado River, we observed a breathtaking view of the canyon, 467 feet below. I was able to capture this California condor with a wingspan of up to 10 feet. It is the largest flying bird in North America. Along with the Michaels, we elected to take this side trip. Jim was interested in seeing the Glen Canyon Dam. Glen Canyon Dam, rising 710 feet above bedrock with the steep, rust-colored sandstone walls of the Glen Canyon, was constructed to harness the power of the Colorado River in order to provide for water and power needs of millions of people in the West. It is the second largest concrete arch dam in the United States, second only to Hoover Dam, which stands 726 feet. Continuing on, we stopped at a very unusual rest area, which was carved into the side of the mountain. Our destination for the afternoon was Zion National Park. Zion National Park's canyons and mesas boast an especially exquisite beauty, even in a state known for dramatic landscapes. Breathtaking Zion Canyon is the centerpiece of this 147,000-acre parkland that protects the spectacular landscape of high plateaus, sheer canyons, and monolithic cliffs. Opportunities to see and explore Zion National Park abound for people of all ages and abilities. From the scenic byways that slice through the park to the trails that wind through the backcountry. Carved by wind and time, Zion National Park is a canyon that invites you to participate in the very forces that created it. While checking in the main lodge, we spotted a couple of wild turkeys just grazing on the grass. They did not seem to be bothered by our presence. Wandering through the souvenir shop, Clyde found this handy little package and wondered if we should have one. It's not necessary to venture off the road to experience the wonders of Zion National Park. Zion's Canyon Scenic Drive is a beautiful road that follows the North Fork of the Virgin River upstream from Canyon Junction through some of Zion's most outstanding scenery. This road is closed to vehicle traffic from April to October, but regularly scheduled shuttle buses provide a great way to relax and enjoy the scenery, or stop to take a hike and then catch a later bus back down the canyon. Wildlife watchers can stop at numerous lookouts and search the sky for Zion's more than 200 bird species, while hikers can strap on their boots, venture out on the trails ranging from easy interpretive nature walks to lengthy, challenging hikes through narrow slot canyons. Hiking in Zion National Park is a major reason why most people visit here. As with many other parks in the West, Zion National Park's weather is dependent on the season and elevation. In the summer, temperatures reach 100 degrees or more on the canyon floor and top out in the 90s at higher elevations. Fast-moving thunderstorms can cause flash floods during this period. Spring and fall normally feature warm days and cool nights. However, there's always a chance of late spring or early summer snowstorm. Zion gets most of its precipitation in the winter, with temperatures ranging from 50 degrees during the day to below freezing at night. Zion has a large and varied ecosystem, due largely in part to the expansive and diverse landscape it inhabits. Visitors can expect to see lizards, mule deer, and wild turkeys, and of course, the pesky squirrels. The Virgin River cuts through the sandstone on her journey home, taking with her rocks and pebbles, widening and reshaping the canyon that defines Zion. The intensity of the colors, the vivid ruby of the rocks, the clear sapphire of the sky, and the emerald green of the grass make Zion National Park a treasure of the West. Zion National Park has a wide range of hiking opportunities, from short family-friendly strolls to longer strenuous day hikes, in diverse terrain, from arid desert sections to breathtakingly majestic viewpoints to lush forests and claustrophobic slot canyons. To eliminate congestion and parking problems within the park, protect the vegetation, and restore tranquility to Zion, a shuttle bus was established in 2000. Visitation had reached 2.4 million visitors a year and was increasing. Shuttle operators estimate now more than 6.3 million visitors each year using the system. The windows in the bus are huge, so you can enjoy the scenery while listening to the audio narrator who tells you all about the geology and history of the sites that you pass along the way in the canyon. The park shuttle departs from the visitor center every 15 minutes or less and makes stops throughout the park. Just jump off whenever you feel like exploring. When you are ready to move on, just wait at the stop and catch a shuttle going in the direction of your next stop. There are stops at all the major hiking trails, and all the stops are clearly marked on the park map provided by the visitor center. Our accommodations for our stay were in cabins near the main lodge. We gathered together, cocktails in hand, and caught up with each other as to what our day's activities had been. It was great fun catching up with old friends, a half a century in the making in some cases. Once again, the weather had been great and the scenery had been spectacular. Dinner that evening was outside on the upper deck at the lodge. We decided to split things up a little bit into a girls' table and a boys' table. After dinner, Joanne and John stayed behind and watched a couple of the deer munching in the dark, while some of the rest of us went out to stargaze. It was amazing how beautiful the night sky was when standing out in total darkness. Sunday morning we were to meet some old friends we had not seen in several years for breakfast at the lodge. They were now living in St. George, Utah. What we failed to realize was they had to park in the town of Springdale and take the shuttle into the lodge since they were not staying at the lodge. So, after a long wait, they arrived and we were able to catch up on old times. After saying goodbye to our old friends, we gathered the group together, loaded the vehicles, and headed towards Bryce Canyon. Just east of the Zion Mount Carmel Tunnel, we stopped at the Canyon Overlooks Trail. It is one of the few official trails in the Upper East Canyon. It was a nice, short but sweet hike on a well-maintained trail that ends with a great view overlooking the main canyon. Along the way were some great views down into the Pine Creek Slot Canyon below, as well as the little break in the cool, shaded alcove with lush ferns growing out of the walls. Located less than an hour and a half from Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, Utah's smallest national park and one of the 10 smallest in the nation, is without a doubt one of the most extraordinary places on Earth. In a sense, Bryce Canyon National Park is two parks. One of them is the high, cool, and lovely forested plateau, and the other is the area of fantastically carved and colored rocks below the rim of the plateau. Our accommodations for our 2-night stay were at the Bryce Canyon Lodge, located a stone's throw from the canyon's rim. Here amidst the dazzling multicolored limestone, you will find the largest concentration of hoodoos in the entire world. Hoodoos are vertically shaped spires of rock that acquire their shape through the particular form of erosion involving rainwater's ability to dissolve, combined with something called frost wedging. Bryce is truthfully not a canyon, at least not in the traditional sense. It's actually a collection of amphitheaters, as they have been named, that have been carved naturally into the limestone over countless years. These amphitheaters, along with thousands upon thousands of hoodoos and other unique formations, create a maze-like landscape that really must be seen to be believed. The surreal formations make up a fairyland of mystical castles, temples, and elegant structures of stone. You can enjoy the canyon on a 37-mile scenic drive or explore the wonders of Bryce on foot from numerous trails. Bryce Canyon is a beautiful place full of twisted rock spires and capped domes. The orange, red, yellow, and white colors of the limestone formations make Bryce Canyon one of the world's most breathtaking locations. John, Tom, and I decided it was a must to take a trail ride. We mounted our horses at the corral and left Sunset Point to start the descent into the canyon via the Peekaboo Loop Trail. We were informed by our cowboy guide of the history and geology of Bryce Canyon. The trail wanders for 5 miles in the park's most beautifully eroded area, Bryce Amphitheater. It climbs the lower slopes of the cathedral and Bryce temples. It wanders beneath the Hindu temples and close to the wall of windows. We were able to see more grandeur and beauty than you can imagine. Like any exciting trip back through the eons of time, a close-up look at the beautiful rock formations thousands of years old in the making. Formations on which wind and rain are forever working their handicraft of sculpture. To add further to that illusion of timelessness, we could see all of Bryce's breathtaking beauty from horseback, man's oldest and most reliable mode of transportation, and didn't even have to break out into a sweat. On the ride, we were able to take pictures and experience the canyon at our fingertips. After lunch, along with Joanne and John, we decided to fully absorb the magic of Bryce. We ventured off on one of the trails below the rim. There were several trails, all connected and ranging in difficulty from moderate to strenuous. We hoped that we had picked one of the easier ones. The trail we chose began on the rim and took us down into the heart of the canyon. We explored the labyrinth of color, amphitheaters, canyons, spires, and hoodoos. The colors of Bryce Canyon change with the passage of each hour. At sunrise, the cliffs and castles radiate deep reds and oranges, toned with reflected yellow sunlight. As the day continues, reds lighten and multicolored hued pinks and whites appear until color bleaches out at noon. With the onset of the evening, the pinks return, and as shadows creep out from the rim, reds return. We decided to take a short break when we realized we had to climb back up out of the canyon. Luckily, it turned out to be a bright, beautiful day, but very hot. Bryce Canyon Trails offers varied degrees of difficulty, from easy hikes to some more challenging, strenuous hikes. In total, there are 50 miles of trails within Bryce Canyon. After dinner that evening, we took a ride to enjoy the setting sun at National Bridge and Rainbow Point, giving us that one last opportunity to enjoy Bryce's stunning beauty. It was time to say goodbye to old friends and head home after spending a week together in such amazing beauty.